I think my influences have been quite broad over the years. A lot of it's been with philosophy. Started at varsity studying philosophy, trying to look what is beyond things, behind things, what exists, what doesn't. So that's influenced a lot of the sculptural form in my work. Sound has a lot of, music has a lot of influence in my work. So Pythagoras always said that if you had to look for the silence between notes and music, that's a kind of spatial way I use to separate the steel in a sculpture, in an abstract sculpture. So that's been an influence. And then an aesthetic called wabi, which is a sort of a Japanese aesthetic, which is about the imperfection in things, the purity, the simplicity of things. So the golden ratio, which was used by Da Vinci in a lot of his proportions and work, it's actually from nature. So all plants have a golden ratio. The relation of your hand to your forearm is a golden ratio. So I use a lot of that in my sculptural forms, in that work, in order to get the proportions. Well, I studied philosophy, and it influenced my art in the sense that all of philosophy was started about metaphysics. So it's about the nature of reality. You know, what is it that's behind? The Greeks always had this obsession. What was behind what we actually see? What is the real reality? So it's always posed questions about the nature of things. And when I started doing philosophy, I got into reading a lot about quantum mechanics and theory. And you find out that there are all these beautiful things called quarks and gluons and etc. that form the fundamental matter of our existence. So if you had to photograph quarks, obviously they're invisible, but with particle shooting and light, you can photograph them. You'd actually see they're very similar to the sculpture that's outside. So that's influenced a lot of the aesthetic and the visual part of my art. And also the questions about we have as ourselves and as humans and nature and where we fit into the whole world. So my art is very much trying to take what's invisible and make it visible. Well, if you think about even the way we perceive the world through our eyes, it's circular, it's spherical. So sun, moon, a lot of everything we deal with on a daily basis is part of a circular language or a spherical language. So I think part of identifying or having a connection to the art that I do is knowing that circles are actually part of our DNA almost, you know, they're part of our inheritance. So, and circles represent inclusivity, completedness, unity. So it's a very hopeful, beautiful shape, I think. And it was originally, as I say, influenced by Pythagoras and how he was so fascinated with circles, and saying that the whole universe is actually held together by a symphony of circles. Yeah, well, quark's made out of I-beam, which is a steel, and it's very, very, very big. It's 300 mil I-beam. So quarks are a fundamental part of what constitutes matter. So they help combine atoms, neutrons and protons. So they're invisible, but when combined to constitute matter, they become visible. So that's what the whole theory behind quark is. And as I said earlier, if you had to photograph a quark, it would look very similar. So when you see a photograph of a quark, it looks very similar to what's outside. So that's a huge part of what quark's about. It's about taking something that's invisible and making it real and big. And at the same time, with the steel, it still looks very wavy, very elegant. So you've got this hard, sort of like uncompromising material and making it fluid and soft and elegant and simple and powerful. I think my work is about hope. You know, it's not about. I think there's enough macabre and torturous parts of our lives already. So when you look at my work, I hope that gives you hope. It thinks, well, anything's kind of possible, because when you take steel that size and you bend it, you kind of get that feeling. So if that's kind of what I'd like to leave behind in terms of my work, it would be that when you look at my work, it's hopeful.